Welcome, greetings everyone. I'll call this meeting of the Port Authority to order. Today is Monday, July 17th, 2023. And the first item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from June 20th and approval of the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes and agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
And I apologize, I was not here, so I approved the agenda. I trust that people who were here know that minutes are correct.
Yes, thank you, thank you. All right, the second thing on the agenda is a bond resolution for the Riverfront Phase 2.
Yeah, I'll give a little intro and then turn it over here. Good evening. Tonight we have Doug Green with us from Baker Tilly. He's the city's municipal advisor. We took bids on the bonds for the Downtown Riverfront Phase 2 project. So I'll let Doug go through that. On your desks, you should have an updated resolution, updated the numbers today from what went out in the packet. So he'll talk about that a little bit. And you should also have some schedules and results from that bond. So can I just turn it over to you?
Thank you, Bill. And for those council members, this is the first of two times you will hear this. And it's good to be here. So I will start with that document called bid tabulation. Well, it's not called, it is a bid tabulation. It's not called bid tabulation. But it has the bids all up there, not the amortization schedules. So we took competitive bids on behalf of the city, Port, same thing, a little bit, this morning at 10 a.m. And had, a very good reception. So there was 5 bidders there. That's pretty good for $2 million. $2 million, I mean, it's a lot of money for us, but it's, small pittance in the municipal bond market. So a lot of times it's not worth buyers' time, underwriters' time. So sometimes you might just get 2 or 3. We're confident that they're going to be fair market bids, but it was great to see that 5 showed up, and you can see they're all very close. It's a market, so we know what the price is of these things. We know where rates are and everything. So, as expected, they did come in pretty close. The competitive bidding keeps them all honest. And Robert W. Baird was the senior manager. They're the largest, most successful underwriter of municipal bonds in the state and the region. Somehow they're able to always just come in a little bit under, not always, oftentimes. So what you have on the left is all those names. Those are all the people that we call a syndicate. And they just said, Baird, you be the senior manager, and they're just spreading out the risk there. So all those little, not necessarily mom and pop investment banks, some of them are big, Colliers, Edward Jones, Fidelity, that's big. But then there's some small ones, and they all go out and sell these bonds to their clients. And so hopefully, some of them made their way back to the community, especially with United Bankers Bank. They're a bank of banks, so hopefully there were some local investors on these as well. So we award the bonds based off a thing called the true interest cost, and that is, you can think of it as the weighted average of all the interest rates, from top to bottom. And with the 1 year, we'll call it the 1 year or 2 year, really being that February 1st of 25, maturity going out 15 years. Within, you might be saying, what in the world are those interest rates, those coupons and reoffering yields? Within our bidding parameters that we just think of it as like a construction bid. When you go out for a construction bid, you give them some leeway, some flexibility in how they bid it. If you put too many handcuffs on them, they're gonna raise the price. If you say we want it done especially, exactly this way, this time and everything else, they're gonna say, okay, we can do that, but we're going to increase the price. We do the same thing with these bidding parameters that we put out. What we say is, hey, we need a certain amount of money to fund this project. We're going to put a lot of city money into it. We need to raise a certain amount in capital. Here are some broad bidding parameters. If you want to buy premium bonds, if you want to pay them at a discount, and we just need to make sure that we have enough to fund our project. And then they bid them as such. And what always happens is they bid a a premium. So the first year was 2.5% over what we were asking, going down there is what we call the belly of the curve in 2030, 2031, 10, 11, 12, 16% over. And so what we do is we take that additional money that they pay us more than 100% of what we were asking for, and this is all in the bidding instructions that we put out before. We take that amount, which ended up being around 160,000, and we reduce put it in the construction fund, and then we reduce the amount that we need to borrow. This is standard, we go through this process, every day. And so we went out to bid for $2,170,000, and we're going to end up in your resolution. We're going to be considering approving $2,015,000. The same amount goes into the construction fund. It's just that we reduced the amount that we needed to borrow in exchange for paying those higher coupons. So I hope that makes sense. A little bond math. Again, if you're on the council, you'll hear that again. So. But again, just it was a successful sale with 5. We're average maturity, if that's where 7 to 8 years at 3.5%. Certainly higher than what we've had over the past 10 years, but going out over 15 years is that's certainly not bad. You might see at the top of that bid tabulation the underlying rating AA3 with every new bond issue. We do have a new rating, and even Moody's has a new methodology, and the ratings stayed the same. If you're interested in nighttime reading, there's a 2-page credit rating report that talks about the city's finances, the economy, and just the fact the city's finances are in good shape. You maintain your fund balances, you have good liquidity across your enterprise funds. You budget, you come in, right at budget or under budget every year. Meaning, there's a small balance, and if there's a deficit, it's planned for. If there's a small annual deficit, it's planned for. It's easily explainable. But you stay within your policies, which that's what they're looking for. And then they take into account those things that you really can't control, which is your demographic profile and wealth measures and all that. So being compared to every other city in the country, and it's typical in greater, outside major metro areas, wealth profiles lag large city demographic profiles. So all in all, very good sale. So we will, and like I was telling Andrew, that's about as applicable as you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is, right there. That's probably a first for me, other than being like in a city hall that you're financing.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Good.
that's pretty good.
Good. Well, thank you, Mr. Green. Any questions before we vote? Okay, so we are being asked to approve the resolution issuing the bonds. And we'll need a motion in a second.
I'll make that.
Thank you.
I can second.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right, all in favor of approving the resolution to issue the bonds for the Downtown Riverfront Phase 2, say aye.
Let's do a roll call.
Roll call, please.
Jill, if you want to do a roll call on it.
Bridget,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
and Tom Winter and Steve Schoenig are both absent.
Okay, the motion carries, or resolution carries. Thank you. Thank you. And then we'll go to Bill for budget process update.
Yeah, just a little, thank you. Just about the budget a little bit. I have nothing here for you tonight. Just wanted to give you a little verbal update. The tax levy committee of the city is hard at work on working on the budget for the entire city. So, Clara, Jill, and I have worked on putting a Port Authority budget together. I'd like to bring that in August. Now, if we needed to have a special meeting in August besides our normal one, we could certainly do that. Just wanted to get through with the tax levy committee a little bit more, kind of the global scale of the entire levy before bringing it in. So, the council will need to take their action on the preliminary budget in September, so we'll definitely have to act on it in August. So that August meeting, Clara, do you have your calendar handy? When is our?
Yep. It is August. I believe it's the 21st.
Okay, so August 21st. So if we needed a second meeting, I guess we could even do that anytime later in August or early September too, if need be. So what's going to be in that budget is some of the normal things like the community behavioral health hospital. The rent coming in for that covers all the expenses, so that's kind of two major sections of that. And then kind of the ongoing operations. We charge a portion of Jill's time and a portion of Clara's time to that. We pay property taxes on the industrial park property. Those are the things we're basically putting in, and you kind of bring that out to what's a levy required to finance that. I'll bring the cash balance projections as well. Those projections haven't changed much from what we've seen in the past. So we're pretty stable as far as where things are going, but we'll bring that in August. So just wanted a little heads up on that.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Bill?
I got a question. Obviously we have to start paying back on some of the loans, so will that change the budget dramatically for 24?
We were using some of the cash balance to do
Yeah.
that, so it's not like it's going to take a big swing in the levy for that. You'll see in the budget where actually the payments made on February 15th of 2024 are going to be in the budget because it's based on the taxes we would have collected during the calendar year 2023.
Right.
So you will still see that, even though that would look like it's the third year, but the port's funding the first 2 years' worth of tax levy payments on the dairy. So then we're starting on the city side, putting in the levy for those in 2024 to make those payments then for collection year 24. So the payments we'd actually made on the two dairy loans in August of 24 and February of 2025.
Right. Thanks.
Yep, good. All
Okay.
right.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Bill.
Sure. I'm probably on for the next
Sure,
one too, I bet.
stay there.
You
Yeah.
are.
I think I have a
All right,
couple
talk dairy property and timeline.
over here. There we go. So when we're talking about the timeline for the dairy, we're talking about that $4 million. And I know, Anthony, you brought that up at our last meeting. Kind of where are we going with that? How are we quarterbacking that project and getting that rolling? Well, DEED put out a Teams meeting for everyone that was awarded funds in this legislative session. And I felt like they were really talking to Fergus Falls when we went through that because of all the projects, the dairy loans we've dealt with, all the different things we worked through on those grants. I felt like we were kind of the learning curve on all that, because here's some of the things that they wanted to make clear for us. Do not start the project until we have a signed agreement in place. So they said, just don't start a thing until you hear from us. And you will hear from us, they're estimating, in August or September of this year. And they wanted to give us some reassurance of, don't worry, you're not going to lose your money, because you would have till December 31st of 2027 to have a signed agreement. Now, no, we don't want to wait that long to start a project down there. We want to get rolling on this. I know the plan would be for next season, but We can't do a thing on that until we hear from Deed and get that agreement going. Agreements should come along much better as I think Deed and the city have now, worked on probably three or four of these agreements. So that's kind of the bulk of that. They want to make sure we're not spending any money before that agreement and whatnot. Where in the past, you would get your legislative action, you'd go out for bids, get the project going, and sometimes it was a couple years before you're getting that agreement in place. So the city has carried costs for a long time on these prior projects, but they're really changing their process at Deed and saying agreement first. So that I wanted to get that out to you so you knew what to expect and what not to expect quite yet. So as soon as we hear from Deed and can get that ball rolling, we'll bring that back to you. But they did say September, possibly August, September. They're working on hiring staff because they have a lot of these agreements to work on and administer, so.
We deal with these a lot. Is this one of those reimbursables? Do we have to spend the money to get the money?
Typically, yes. Yep, I believe this would be the same way. So, but they don't even want us to spend the money
no.
until the agreement is signed.
Right. And again, yes.
Yep,
Have to remind people of that all the
yep.
time.
So that's kind of all I had for an update on that. So
Okay.
just want to let you know we had that meeting with Deed last week, so. Was there anything else on that, Clara, that I'm missing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Any other questions for Bill regarding timelines? Okay,
All
thank you
right.
so much.
Save it for
Thank
the
you.
council meeting.
Save them. That's good. All right, anybody else have anything? Okay, if not, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.